SI pain and pelvic instability is a topic I've made lots of videos about. All of those will be linked in the description box below. So SI pain and pelvic instability is often caused by the hormone relaxin, which is released during pregnancy and helps our joints and ligaments open the pelvis for the baby to pass through during birth. Unfortunately though, this can create instability in the joints, which can be really painful. So things like stretching and being really flexible, often yoga teachers experience this, is a detriment because it's further increasing the instability of those joints of the pelvis. So what we really want to do is strengthen the muscles that support the pelvis so that we can build back that stability in our pelvis. I want you to keep in mind though that relaxin is present in the body up to a year post breastfeeding. So if you're postpartum and still breastfeeding, it's not surprising that you're still feeling an instability there, especially as we start to feel more confident in our bodies and get back into things like working out and doing our regular routine. We can sometimes forget that our body has been on a big journey in the last year or two, and we still need to be quite cautious of this part of our body, particularly those muscles around the pelvis, including the pelvic floor, which all help to support this area. So in today's class, we're really focusing on strength and stability to help improve that SI pain and that pelvic instability that might be causing you some discomfort. We will be using a block in today's practice. If you don't have a yoga block specifically, a book about this size will work just as well. So we are going to start our practice standing today, and that's because I really want to start with just some basic awareness. So standing in our Tadasana with our feet underneath our hips, and I want you to feel solid in this position. So sometimes we just kind of hang out in our bodies without any awareness of what's going on, but I really want you to stand in your body, in your power, in your foundation. So pressing the four corners of the feet into the mat. So the balls of the feet, the outer edges, the back of the heels and the inside of the heels, all pressing firmly into the mat, like you're gripping the ground with your feet. And from that position, pushing up and feeling like your entire body is lifting up, shoulders back and down. Notice where your pelvis wants to sit naturally. So is it that bum is sticking back? Is it that you're still in kind of this bit of an overarched position from pregnancy? And see if you can find the middle ground where it feels good, stacking ankles, knees, hips, all the way up to shoulders, crown of the head. So I've got this nice long line, feeling strong and stable. And then I want you to take a deep breath in. So as the belly expands with the breath, the pelvic floor should be relaxed and softening down. And then as you exhale and the belly comes back in, the pelvic floor can lift in and up. So those muscles that support like a hammock at the base of our pelvis, lifting in and up and engaging as we exhale. Inhale, release. Exhale, engage. Which is sometimes a little bit the opposite of what we've been taught. We think inhale, tense. It's actually the opposite. As we inhale, we want that expansion and that softening of the pelvic floor. As we exhale, we can engage and lift up. It's a bit of a mind trick, and that is often the biggest part of re-engaging that pelvic floor is actually getting that mind-body connection. So we're just going to stay here for a couple more breaths. Inhaling and softening. If it helps, bring the hands onto the low belly just so that you can visualize inhaling, the belly softens, the pelvic floor softens, exhaling, a gentle engagement of the pelvic floor, lifting in and up. Inhale, belly softens. Exhale, engage and lift the pelvic floor in and up. One more time, inhale. And exhale. So if you can do all of these things while staying aware and present to your body, pressing the feet in the floor, standing up straight. Good. Release the hands. Find your block now, and I want you to bring it between the knees. And we're going to take a little bend through the knees. We're going to come into our chair pose. So our feet are still underneath the hips, and we're gently engaging the knees. So the knees are pressing inwards. Roll the shoulders back and down. And I want you to, again, focus on that pelvic floor. So inhale, breathing into the belly. Exhale, engaging the pelvic floor in and up. We're going to add on a little more. So important muscles to support the pelvis are the glutes. We're coming into our chair pose, taking a seat down. See if you can keep lifting through the chest. If it's too much with the arms, just bring the hands onto the hips. That's fine. If it helps to and keeps that awareness, you can bring the hands back to the belly. I'm going to stay here for 3 full deep breaths. Keep focusing on that pelvic floor, engaging on the exhale and squeezing the knees in towards each other. Bonus points if you can add a little smile to your face here. I know it's intense. Good. Inhale, come all the way back up to stand. Now, with the hope that this doesn't feel too much like one of those really old school exercise classes, we're going to do that, but we're going to do that with repetition. So as you inhale, we're going to come down, and as you exhale, we're going to slowly come up. And I want you to still think about that foundation, pressing the floor away with the feet. Inhale. Exhale. I want you to focus on these muscles as when you stand up, engaging the glutes as you come to rise. Inhale. Exhale. So exhale, engaging pelvic floor as you come up as well. Inhale. And exhale. Good. And again, inhale. Exhale. Good. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Nice work. All right. Let's take the block now. We're going to do a pyramid pose that's quite a shallow stance. So the block comes underneath the chest, and I just want you to step the right foot back slightly. So really shallow stance with the feet. We're not taking them super wide. Taking the legs any wider than knee distance apart is compromising that stability in the pelvis. So we want to keep it nice and shallow still at this point. So just step it back gently. And again, squeezing the inner thighs together while also getting a bit of a stretch through the back of the legs. And we're just going to stay with the hands grounded on the block and feel like we're squeezing the feet this way as well as this way. Really engaging and gripping the mat here. So this is strength work as well as flexibility work. If you can soften the head and neck down, go for it. But if it doesn't feel good, feel free to just stay with pressing the hands into the block. Breathing deeply, keep the legs engaged. Next breath, let's step forwards, swap the legs over. Again, engage inner thighs, feel like we're pressing the feet into the mat, drawing them together. Breathing here. Good. Release the feet back together. Moving the block to the side. We're going to come all the way down onto hands and knees now. So take your time coming down. Bring the knees in towards each other to start. And just rock and roll the hips from side to side. Releasing out any tension here. And then we're going to get that trusty block and bring it back between the knees. So again, I want you to squeeze the knees in towards each other. We're going to tuck the toes under. As you exhale this time, you're going to press into the hands and just lift the knees slightly off. So we're getting core engagement. See if you can focus also on that pelvic floor awareness and lifting and engaging the pelvic floor muscles in and up. Keep breathing. This is quite intense. Good. Release the knees down. Remove the block. And then gentle inhale for up cat. And down, being really mindful and gentle here, because often these poses, when we're arching through the back, we can feel that SI at that point. So really want to keep it super gentle, and you might not go into the full range of motion here, just gently releasing out through that low back. Let's bring the block back in between the knees, tuck the toes once more. We've got another round of our knee lifts, press into the hands, lift the knees off. See if you can soften through the head and the neck. Breathing here. Good. So from here, we're going to come all the way down to lie on the belly. We're going to keep the block where it is. Roll yourself forward and come all the way down. The reason we want that block between the legs is to keep that inner thigh and pelvic floor engagement. So to start with, let's just bring the hands underneath the head. And I want you to squeeze the inner thighs together and gently press the pubic bone into the floor. So you've got all of this tension and stability building around the lower back and pelvis. And then I want you to bring the elbows underneath the shoulders. So we're gently coming up into our Sphinx pose to start. See if you can lift the head and neck, keep squeezing inner thighs together. If you want to go a little higher, you can move the hands back and come up into your cobra, but you don't have to if this is too much for you today. Gently drawing the shoulder blades back. So the strength is coming from the back, not from the arms. So we're not jamming ourselves up into that low back. We're keeping it nice and low today. Really keeping that focus on the legs. You should feel the glutes working by now. Good. Release the hands back underneath the head. Release the legs, release the block, and let the hips rock from side to side. I know I can feel the tension across there now at the moment. Good. Let's have one more go. So squeeze the block in between the legs once more. Press the pubic bone into the floor. You can stay with the hands on the head. You can come into your Sphinx pose, or you can move up into your cobra by engaging through the back and lifting the chest slightly. Keep squeezing into that block though. Don't lose that awareness, that connection. Keep breathing. Good. Last one. And then press into the hands. Come all the way back. We're going to come into our child's pose. So move that block out of the way. Knees come together. Rest the head down. If the head doesn't comfortably rest, I want you to bring the block underneath the head so that you can find a comfortable position in your child's pose here. Softening, slowing the breathing down. Good. On your next breath, we're going to come down into our bridge pose. So because you're postpartum and your core might not be still super strong, you might still be coming down like we do during pregnancy using the arms and then rolling on over onto the back. Depending on where you are in your postpartum recovery, of course, you might be okay to just roll down, but we always want to err on the side of being really cautious and gentle. So to start with, we're just going to get into our bridge pose, and then we're going to add a little bit more heat by using that block. So rest the palms on the mat. And I just want you to notice first the pelvic tilt, and I want you to find that engagement through the core. So it's like we're sort of zipping the ribs in a little bit, those lower ribs. Not completely jamming the low back into the mat, but just engaging this bottom half of the core. Also engaging the pelvic floor. As you exhale, press into the feet, lift the hips up towards the sky. And from here, I want you to feel that engagement again of squeezing the knees in towards each other. And notice when you squeeze the knees in towards each other, the glutes engage, the inner thighs engage, and these are all the muscles that are supporting your pelvis and helping to create that stability again that you need to hopefully not feel that SI pain anymore. Good. Slowly lower it down. We're going to do a little bit of strength work, and then we'll come to do a little bit of restorative work in this position as well. So bring that block in between the knees. Again, you're going to have to squeeze it to keep it there. I want you to focus on engaging inwards, and then exhale, lift the hips up. Let's do a few little pulses here. So lowering down, noticing each vertebrae touching the ground. Come back to that midpoint and then lifting back up. So we're doing a few rolling up and down, so really feeling that articulation of the spine as we come up and as we come down. Doing one more like this. And then I want you to just think about pressing up. So rather than that articulation and the roll, it's just a press up. So exhale, press up. Inhale, come down. And I want you to focus on squeezing the glutes, squeezing the block, engaging the pelvic floor. See if we can do 5 more of these. I know you can feel those muscles working. That's a good thing. Two more. Last one. Good. Come all the way down, pull the block out from between the knees, but keep it handy, pressing up one last time. And then we're gonna bring the block underneath that tailbone. So keep it on the low side, keep it nice and gentle today, and you're just gonna rest here. So I often find this feels really nice, pressing on that SI joint. Just resting here after working those legs. Still keeping the knees gently drawing in. We don't want them to splay outwards. Keeping that stability and alignment. Good. Gently press into the feet. Lift yourself off the block. Come on down onto the back. I'm going to bring that block now in between the knees as we bring the calves up to tabletop. So it takes a fair bit of core work to have the knees stacked over the hips. If that's too intense in your really early postpartum days, I want you to draw the knees in towards the chest a little bit more, which is going to take the pressure off the core a little bit. We're going to edge them out to do a little bit of work because the aim of this game is, again, pelvic floor, inner thigh engagement, and core engagement. But we don't want to work ourselves harder than we need to at this stage and cause any injuries. If it feels better to do so, you can put that block down lower, maybe even between the feet, or keep it between the knees. Up to you. So all we're going to do is just hold in this position and be aware of our lower back. So we don't want that big arch underneath our lower back. We want to zip those lower ribs in, engaging through that low core. Notice the pelvic floor. So on the inhale, it can soften. And on the exhale, we're going to engage and lift those muscles in and up. If you want to add on a touch more, we're going to bring one hand across and press it into the opposite knee like you're pressing the knee away, and the knee is going to press in towards it. There'll be this core engagement. You'll look like you're doing nothing, but you're going to feel a whole lot. And then see if you can add on, keep breathing on top of all of these things that you're trying to think of. Squeezing the block with the knees or the feet. Gently zipping in those lower ribs to draw the pelvis back. Pelvic floor engagement, breath, and pressing hand into thigh. If you're pressing, change sides. If it's too much to press, just release the hands down. Just work with the legs. Breathing here. See if you can soften through the face and the neck. Good. Gently release the block, release the feet down to the mat. Knees can rest in towards each other. Let's take a few breaths here. Let's finish our practice today just by bringing the hands onto the low belly. Taking a few full deep breaths. Remembering that postpartum recovery might not look like a big, heavy workout. It might be super subtle movements, and it might not feel very sexy to be doing. But it's these small changes, these subtle shifts in awareness of noticing our core and our pelvic floor, reconnecting these parts of our body that can really help us to come back to ourselves, to feel strong and stable in our bodies again, and to learn to trust our bodies in their new form. Take 5 more full deep breaths here, just enjoying this moment of being in your body. And then when you're ready, start to slowly draw yourself over to one side. Taking your time to come on up and have a seat. I just want to remind you at the end of our practice to be really gentle and as patient as you possibly can. I know that feeling in postpartum of wanting to get back into your body, into your life, but it truly is a slow process of stitching ourselves back together after having a baby. And it's really important to not rush it, otherwise you do end up with injuries. And I'm saying this entirely from experience. I think in almost every postpartum period I've had, I've always tried to jump back into exercise too soon, and I've always felt my SI pain flare up. And it's always a sign for me, you're going too fast, Bettina, slow down, your body doesn't need this yet. And so while I know it's super hard to be patient, I really want to encourage you to try. Thank you for sharing this practice today, and have a beautiful day.